lifestyles of the strange and exotic. Random book review, because I'm never quite sure which way to angle you, so I don't know if you're looking at ceiling, looking at floor, I never know. And today's book review is a new book that came in our library not too long ago, and it's The Science of Superheroes and Space Warriors. And I wasn't quite sure what it was, and I kind of picked it up thinking, okay, superheroes and space warriors sounds right up my alley. And it's a dang good book. If you like sci-fi, comic books, anything like that, you will want to read this book. It basically goes into like the actual science behind not just comic books, but sci-fi movies. There's a lot of Star Trek, Star Wars, Superman, Batman, and there's a lot of good points in here. Do you have what it takes to be a superhero or a space warrior? You picked out your superpower years ago. You can change into your costume in seconds. You could take out a Sith Lord with your lightning-quick lightsaber moves. Not so fast. Before you can start vanquishing bad guys, it's important to be schooled in the science of saving the world. In this fascinating book, the team at the award-winning website howstuffworks.com, which I've come across quite a few times, reveals the astonishing science behind your favorite superheroes, supervillains, and space warriors, and their ultra-cool devices and weapons from Batmobiles and warp speed to lightsabers, star stars, and kryptonite. Discover how Batman and the Batmobile really work, 10 Star Trek technologies that actually came true. Where do I go from there? Whether warp speed and lightsabers are actually possible, if Superman would win against Harry Potter, Sith Lords, and even Chuck Norris, how new liquid body armor can make us superhuman, and more. And there's quizzes and tidbits and just bits and baubles of levels of awesome. And it starts off with a very good base history of comic books in general, of like where they came from and sort of the difference between comic book and graphic novel, and you know, if you're outside of the comic book sphere, it's a good kind of clue into what things actually are. And as I read, I try to write notes now, so I try to focus that now. But one of the things that kind of annoyed me is that it relies too heavily on sort of modern sci-fi, like well, not so much the modern Trek. They don't really quite go into that, but the more modern superhero movies. Being old school, I kind of prefer they kind of went farther back than that. It did have a good section on the different characters like Superman and Batman, and you know what one would need to defeat the other, and it goes into some pretty good detail on that too. One of the really sort of in-depth sections, so they must really be big Star Wars fans, and it delves outside of the movie, so it must like rely on the books about like the history of the Sith and the Jedi Knight, how each one came to be. And it's information I didn't know. Of course, I only have seen the movies, and I know a little bit about the books, but I haven't gone, you know, outside of the canon, basically. So there was a lot of good stuff, you know, as far as that's concerned. So I would say, like, spoiler alert, maybe. So, I don't know. If you don't want to read the books, you'll get the basis idea in this one. Let's see. I'm just trying to read my notes. Oh yeah, when they get into the Star Trek side of things, they go into the actual science without sort of like going over your head, like a lecture by like, you know, Carl Sagan or something like that. But even then, that would still be kind of like, you know, understandable. So, you know, the technology of warp drive and things like that, the technicals and the not so technicals are easy to understand, but you can kind of realize, whoa, you know, science. And sort of the best worst part was there's a lot of information of like military stuff, and they go into like, it kind of is this like plateau, and then it goes Nyeh, when it gets to like body armor and the science of what's being built now and what they're working on in like 15, 20, 25 years in the future. It kind of went a little longer than I needed it to because it just sort of bored me. I made it to like a page and I'm like, enough about armor. So if you're into like military stuff, that section will like really interest you too. Like liquid body armor, how they're trying to improve Kevlar. I mean, for a book this size, there's a lot of stuff in here. And I really, really enjoyed it. I read it in like a week, and that's trying to stuff it in with other stuff I was doing. So check out the website, howstuffworks.com. I might even stumbled across them on YouTube, I don't know. But this is a really, really, really good book. So pick it up at your local library or hit up Amazon. It's $12.99 US, and it came out in 2014. So it's fairly new. So 4 stars from me. And of course I'm a nerd, so of course I love that. Thank you for watching. Do remember to comment, rate, share, and subscribe. There's always room for one more at The Strange and Exotic. See you next time, and happy reading!